Maybe I should start debating with religious zealots again, because it sure did drive up the views. My only goal when all of this started was to have the story straight, and I got a pretty good handle on it. So here's a part of it. Back in the 60s, there were the hippies. And during the 70s and 80s, those hippies became the yuppies. And during the 90s and 2000s, they became the corporate raiders. And now they're old and they've made their money. So that's really not an issue. So, what do you do when you've made your money? You're getting a little on the old side. What do you dream about? What do you think about? Well, all I could do is use myself as an example because, as you can see, I ain't no spring chicken no more. Even though my mind hasn't accepted that. Lately, my body has been more than happy to remind me, though. So it stands to reason that those people who call themselves the elites of the world have the same attitude, have went through the same things. So what do they dream about before they lay their heads at night? They dream about the utopia that they wanted to build when they were young. And it all, in those times, centered around Marxism. If you know your history, or if you happen to grow up during those times, like I did. I don't blame the younger generation of today for not knowing their history. That's our fault because we didn't take the time to teach it to our children or quiz them around the dinner table to make sure that they were being taught the actual history of this country, no less some of the things that went on in it while it was building up to this point. I don't blame the young people for instituting and supporting censorship. That's our fault because we didn't take the time to explain how the Constitution came to be and the foundations of it and how important free speech is to a free society. They've been tricked. They've been played. There ain't no doubt about that. But in the end, unfortunately, we don't have anyone to blame but ourselves. And this is the part that requires a little abstract thinking. How did they come to be who they are? It all centers around abuse. I've been there. I was almost turned into a person like that. I could even say that I was for a time before I found Jesus. Again. Abuse either strengthens your resolve against it or it breaks you. And if it breaks you, you feel compelled or the urge to do it to others because that's what's been done to you. Is that fair? Is that logical? No, not at all. But it's what happens. I could point to people and their pets as an example. When you get a puppy isn't mean. A puppy doesn't know anything about the world. But every time you walk in the room, if you kick it in the head or forget to feed it or make its life a living hell, it will turn into a mean dog. And the same thing happens to people. And some of those people coalesce together. And that's how you get what we have today. They don't like us. You know why? Because we know how to fix things. We know how to organize things. We know how to survive in harsh conditions. They don't know how to do that. And they hate us for it. The only thing they have is their bank account and their hate. And that's what drives all of what you've been witnessing in the past 20 years, to say the least. I mean, that just keeps it on the current timeline. It goes beyond that. There are examples of abused people abusing others throughout the entirety of human history. So, that in a nutshell is the main components that drive everything we're witnessing today. Is it prophecy and revelations? It could be. But eventually, anybody who's an adult who has actually had children and had to put their foot down, free will becomes a factor. And this ain't over until it's over. And it's over, in my estimation, when free will is conquered on this planet and what's called the human experiment ends.